Hi, this is Mallesh. In this video, we'll discuss how can we run a C# program in different ways. So generally, why we need a different way? So we generally use Visual Studio. So if you use a Visual Studio, it has a intelligence. So whenever you type something, it will autofill the names. If you try to create a property or like a method, it will give some skeleton. So to know more about that predefined keywords and everything, so it's better to go for a notepad level, like another IDE is just like a notepad or notepad plus plus, so that you can understand the grammatical way, like what is if we use a public keyword, the p should be small. So these kind of things you can understand easily. So we'll go with the notepad now. So let me give an example. So in a C# program, we have a different sections like a namespace and a class and then main method. So for now, like will just give one sample example program like a add of two numbers. So yeah, we can ignore namespace with if you are using a single class and for just a sample purpose we are creating. So just starts with a class, some sample class I'm creating. It's better to format into C#. So I'm just changing the language type. Yeah. Now I'm just created a class. So in the class, I'm just creating a main method, static void main. Okay. So here you can see the predefined keywords like a public, static, void all comes under small letters. So but main is a method. It should be like a Pascal case. So whenever methods comes classes, you if you define right there, you use a Pascal case, means first letter should be capital, and then whenever the next word comes right, that also will keep it as a capital only. Other than this, like fields and everything, we generally keep a small letters, means camel case. So first letter should be small, and then the next word which is capital. So yeah, in the main method, let me take one print statement console dot write line sample of adding two numbers. Okay, so it is also same. This is console comes under a static class, so that is the reason we generally keeping the directly the console. And I'm just writed one word right after dot. It is like a method, so it's a method. So that is the reason we kept the first letter as a capital and the second word first letter also capital. This is called a Pascal case. We generally follow for methods. So what I did here, I just printing a statement like sample of adding two numbers, or like adding two numbers we can mention whatever we write in the double quotes, it will be printed as same. So now this console class comes under a system like a this console like a read line or write line, these kind of a methods comes under console is comes under a namespace called system. So if you want to use these kind of statements, so we generally need to import the system namespace. So to import an system namespace, we generally use a keyword called using. Now this statement got printed if we run the program, but to add two numbers, right, we generally need to take two numbers. So I'm just taking two variables, first value equal to console dot read line. So this read line will take the input from the user, or like when the prompt, like if we run from a Visual Studio or in a command prompt, so it will prompt to enter a value. So but whenever we use a read line, right, it always takes a string value only. So for that, what we have to do, because it is an integer value we are taking, so it should be convert to integer. So for that, what I am doing, I'm just converting into int 32. uh, we'll save later. Okay, so again, so this is the first value, right? So I'm just trying to prompt that please enter the first value. So I'm just typing, please enter first value. So this program will prompt adding two numbers, then after it will prompt please enter the first value. Then user, once they entered a value, right, it will be say, it will be moved to first value. It is some similar like a variable is storing, like it is a variable, it is just taking the input and storing into first value. The same way I have to take a second value. So to take a second value, I am again prompting the user to enter a second value. I'm changing the variable name second value. Again, this is common because whatever we are taking from a prompt, right, like in the command line or Visual Studio, right, when we run, so user will enter some data that always comes in the string. So just I'm converting into integer and then storing into second value variable. So now I'm taking third variable c value, or like a sum equal to the first value plus second value. Okay, so what will happen, it will sum and it will store into sum. So if we want to print this the value, so again we have to do a console.writeLine statement, and again we have to use this whatever, if you want to show some message. So like after adding two numbers, we simply use plus sum. So what happened, it will print this message as well as the sum value. Okay, so post that if you want to add a line like you if you want to provide a one request a one more input from a user just to keep the output, so we can use a console.readline again, just like this. So here we are taking input, here we don't need to take an input, like we don't need to save in into any variable or something. So we generally keep the line to stop this console. So yeah, now we have to save the file. I'm just created a folder called sample. So here add numbers. Okay, so whenever we want to work with the C sharp, right, we generally need to save with the .cs file. So if we use a different language, they have a different extensions. For now we are using C sharp, so that's what we kept a .cs only. So post saving the file, now we have to run the program. So as like we can run the program in different ways. So I'm just showing one way now, that is a command prompt. You can open a command prompt. So in the command prompt, you have to go to the specific directory where you saved the file. Cd desktop cd sample. Okay, here I have to use a command called csc. So it is a compiler, so it will execute the file which we saved as a cs file. So once it will save compile, right, it will create a exe file. Let me compile the file, then I will show you the exe. Add numbers.cs. Okay, we got an error. Source file add numbers.cs is not found. Why? Because I added one s letter. So let me remove. Yeah, I executed, right? It is showing the type of a namespace name system could not be found. Are you missing a directive? Why? Because it should be an S capital. So let me rerun. Okay, again what happened? I just missed a capital here. Okay, let me replace. You can see. So to understand this kind of grammatical issues in a programming language, it is better to go for a notepad. So it got executed, right? Now let me open a sample folder. You can see we got one exe file. So you can run directly, or like you can run from a command prompt. Let me run from command prompt. To run a executable file, right, we generally use a name only. Add numbers dot exe. Okay, now it is asking for a and asking to enter one value. I'm entering one, and again asking for second value. Now it got sum, right? So what happened? Both got summed and it's showing as 176. To show the value in a better way, you just need to add some data, like some characters here. So let me compile again. Why? Because we just change the code. So whenever we change the code, we have to compile again. So generally to compile again, what we need to do the same way, CSC add numbers dot cs. Okay, now again we have to run. Yeah, it is asking for one value 120, 120. Now you can see it is showing in a somewhat a better way. So 240. So this is one of the way to execute a C# program, or you can go for a developer command prompt, but it will comes when you install a Visual Studio only. But we can use the same. Like now what we have to do, we have to go to the directory. The directory will be in C drive, right? C drive desktop sample. So just I'm just going to the specific folder. Now same whatever we are using in a command prompt, right? In the same way we have to use the same CSC compiler with the add a number.cs. Okay, it got executed. What it is showing, the process cannot access the file because it is being using by another process. So means I'm already running here, right? So that's what it is showing, that kind of error. So let me break this. Okay, now let me retry. So command prompt I'm closing. Now we are working with the developer command prompt. So the same CSC add numbers. Okay, now there is no error. Now I'm just running the file add number.exe. Again it is asking 120, 30. It is showing 150. So this is one of the other way we can run the program, or we can use a Visual Studio. Let me open a Visual Studio. We can create a new project. So here we can create a two type of console applications with the latest versions and older version. If you want to create a console app which is used by a .NET framework, before 5.0, we can use this .NET framework. If you want to use the latest version, you can go for this console app. So both will work same, but the futures will be different based on the .NET framework we are selecting. So I'm just selecting sample add. Okay, so I'm just click on next button. This do not use top level statement means in our latest versions we don't need to create a main method and everything. So to avoid that, I'm just selecting this checkbox. Yeah, so you can see the program, it will create a skeleton with the class name and the method and a sample print statement. If you use the top statement, right, if you uncheck that, what will happen, you won't get this kind of a thing. It will, you directly get this single line only. So for now we are just planning to execute this program, right? I'm just taking the content which we already wrote, so just I'm pasting. Yeah, so if I run now, yeah, it is prompting now. So let me, if it is running. Yeah. Okay, so first value I'm entering 10, second value 10. Yeah, so now the sum it is showing as 20. So why still we are able to see the screen? Because we wrote a line called console.readline. So it will keep the user to enter a character or something. So if you click on enter button at right, it will get a close the execution, like the program got executed and now it got closed also. So these are the ways we can run the program, or like a compile and run the program. But if you are unable to see CM, when you use a CMD, right? If you are unable to see the CSC, so like what we need to do, if you are not getting this kind of a prompt, you have to do one kind of a setting. So you have to go to C drive, Windows, Microsoft. Here you can select a file in the folder called framework. In that you have a multiple files, right? Just check where you can able to see the csc.exe file. If you are able to see this file, just copy the path and open the environment variables. So here in the bottom system variables, it is a user defined. So we are working with the framework related, so we go for a system variable. In that you have the path, right? If you double click on that, you will prompt a multiple file, like a one more pop-up which contains a different keys already. These are the paths for different applications. What we have to do, if you are unable to see this kind of a line, you just need to paste it here. So once you paste the file, click on save and click on OK and then OK. So you go for a command prompt again. If you click on CSC, you will get the same kind of a prompt, so that you can able whenever you got this kind of a prompt, right? So means the SDK is there, like .NET framework, so you can compile the program. So if you are unable to see this kind of a thing, you just need to go to Google. You can go for a .NET Microsoft.com. So you can use the latest version. So you will get the folder in that this particular area. So you can copy and set the environment variable, and you can go good to go. So in this way, we can generally run the programs. So in the next video, I will show you a main method related information, like are we able to overload, or in many ways, in any ways, like we can generally um, write a main method in a different ways, and also with the return types also I will show you. Yeah, thank you for watching.